Happy New Year, people! Compliments of the new season, 2024. We're banging. And yep, I'm Tinashe Moyo, and welcome to another episode of Stride, which so happens to be the very first episode of 2024. Yeah, we're still doing it. On this channel, my goal is to inspire people to take the first step towards their goals in life using my personal experiences. And in this video, I will be talking about the relationship that I've had with my parents and the steps that I've been taking to make it better and stronger. So sit back and enjoy. Mhm. Okay, so I was born in a family of three with two beautiful older sisters in my lead. So, me being the only boy and the last born, it simply means your mama's boy or mommy's baby. Um, you know, as I grew up, I think my own personal opinion, um, I always felt like I never really lived up to the moniker, which is mommy's baby. You know, um, like I used to see some of my friends, like the way they would be treated. It's often said that mommy's baby is the one that gets everything, the one that gets spoiled all the time. But for me, it was a different case. And it's like uh my we didn't come from a well-up family. So it's just a thing where when you are kids, you really don't know much about that. All you're just thinking about is just material things. But then you don't even get to think about getting food on the table every single night and getting clothes to wear every single day. So now I can't say our life was bad. We actually had some good times, like the traditional Christmas thing where we would always get new clothes, where we would always get to visit those different Santa characters, and even going to like the amusement park, or would you would always call it the Luna Park. Even the agricultural show, seeing fireworks, even though I was scared. But then we, we always had a good life. But sometimes when you're a kid, there are certain things that you don't understand. Like you've got your own wants, I cannot say needs. You've got your own wants. I would see, some of my friends getting cool things, cool gadgets, like the, cool video games, the brick games. I would see my friends with things like skateboards, um, roller skates, roller blades, all of those cute things. I never really got a skateboard, you know? So to me, it was just like, man, what is wrong with me? Because I remember this other time we were in a shop, right, with my mom and my second oldest sister. And I saw this gun, like a toy gun. And in my mind, I was just like, man, I really need this, but I know my mom is not gonna buy this for me. And then I made up this stupid statement, and I just said, I'm gonna ask my dad to buy this thing for me. And then my my mom was just like, yeah, whatever. You talk to your dad. I hope he buys it for you. Uh, so obviously, when you're older, you get to understand that the parents sometimes they might want to give you the luxury to get you the toys that you need, but then they're actually focusing on getting you like the food that you need to eat to survive. So, you know, time went on, and I remember in my uh, grade school, or rather primary school, I wasn't really a bright kid. And there was this one time I remember, I think I was in grade four, when my mom used to repeatedly uh, visit my class just to speak to the teacher. So I didn't understand. I didn't know why she was coming to my class. For a minute, I actually thought that maybe she's trying to get a teacher's role at the school. But you know, it was a thing where I wasn't really performing. I wasn't really getting good grades. But then I enjoyed playing more than, books. Truth be told, I enjoyed playing so much. And I remember one of my late uncles, God rest his soul, he always made me watch movies. So I grew up enjoying cinema. I grew up enjoying anything that had to do with fun. So, school is never fun. I can tell you that. So it actually contributed to me not being not being a bright kid in school. So yet again, you don't understand when you're a kid that these things um, take a toll on our parents. So by being the kid that was really playful, my parents got to a point where they got really upset with my performance at school, and I'd always get beatings, man. I would never do my homework. I would never read. I would never uh, revise. I was always on the road 24/7 with my friends. I would never put any effort at home. So I'd always get beaten up. I think most of the time, if I remember correctly, at our household, uh, between me and my two sisters, I think I was the one who got so many beatings, you know. And I remember this one time, this one time, I dodged my extra lessons, and so my older sister found she found out, and she caused a scene, like in the evening at home, in the kitchen. She was yelling at me like, why would you do that? Why would you lie? Why would you run away from school? Blah blah blah. Like, she was all over the place. She she blew up the place. And so, my dad, there's one thing that I love about my dad. My dad is just a really calm person, like one of the calmest people you'll ever come through. So I think it was like 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. in the evening, and he was making his way to the sitting room to watch news. So, so on his way, we're in the kitchen. My sister is causing a scene, and then my dad just stood there and he was just like, "What's going on?" And then my sister was just like, "Ah, Tinashe dodged his lesson." You know, my like I said, my dad is really calm, but then you could see you could see like the rage going all over his body, man. Like, you could see him changing, like he was morphing into something else, but then in a calm manner. Like, it doesn't make sense, but that's exactly what happened. And then my dad was just like, "Come here." I can't even make his face, but he was just like, "Come to my room." So now, here's the messed up thing. As as I was making my way to my dad's room, like going past my sister, she whispered in my ear. And I will never forget this. She whispered in my ear, and she was just like, "Yeah, you deserve it." And then I was like, what what kind of morbid person would do something like that, would say something like that? What kind of person would wish something terrible on your own blood? Would you do that for your own blood? I mean, like, that was really terrible. And it actually made things worse. So I got into my dad's room, right? And then he pulled out his belt like a sword. And then he told me to lie on his bed, like on my belly. That was this is amazing, man. Like, when I think of it now, this is crazy. So he told me to lie on his bed on my belly. And then I did. And then my dad whipped me so hard on my lower back. And now here's the worst thing now. I was wearing pajamas, right? With very light material. So I felt the leather going right through my lower back. And then I got up and then I looked at him like, this isn't jail, bro. I'm your kid. You know, this isn't jail. You want to kill me? And then I was rubbing my lower back, and you know this thing where it's like you rub and then you look at your hand because you're looking for blood. I didn't see any blood, and then I was just like, so what's going on? And then he told me to get back on the bed, lie on my belly, and he whipped me again. I think 4 or 5 slashes. He whipped me so hard, I thought I was never gonna walk again. And then I got up, I sat on the bed, and then I was like, okay, this is done. This is done. I'm never getting any of this. And then my dad starts going off again. He starts whipping me everywhere. Now I was blocking with my hands, right? But still, it was a stupid block because this is leather, this is a belt. It still goes through the hands. He was whipping me so hard everywhere on my head, you know, on my hands everywhere. And then I got out of the room, locked myself in the toilet, and started crying. That specific moment made me, feel scared. Like it got me really scared of my dad. I will never lie to you. I will never forget that moment. I got really, really scared because I was never disciplined like that. Of course, my mom, she would just beat me here and there, but then you know how mothers are. They've got soft spots for their kid. So once they beat you up, after that, they start talking to you, everything is cool. So with my dad, it was just a completely different story. And I remember this at the time again, I had not done my homework. And so he slapped me. So, he slapped me so hard on my cheek that afterwards, right, I'm holding my cheek. And now he wants to lecture. He wants to start saying stuff like, don't ever do that again, blah, blah, blah. But then I didn't I didn't understand a word of that because I was busy. I think I had some lines. I felt like it was something like a cage or some barbed wires on my cheek. And then, during that time, I used to idolize a former wrestler called Alex Wright. So he had this persona where he took pride in his appearance, like his face. He had this, beautiful hair, a really good physique. So I was just like, I used to see myself as Alex Wright. So in my mind, my dad is busy lecturing. Now I'm busy thinking of my face. Like I need to go and look at my face. Is my face still okay? Are the girls still gonna love me, even though I didn't have a girlfriend? But wishful thinking. But yeah, that was my major concern. So those small instances made me fear my dad, you know, so much to the point where, as I even grew older, I was still scared of him because he would yell, even in his calm manner. He would yell so hard that you could feel it in here. Like, man, every time he comes back home, you're just like, bro, I think I'm gonna die today. Cause and then I remember my mom telling me this other day, like, she said that when my dad was still young, I think probably in his 30s or maybe in his 20s, his brothers used to call him, if anyone had bullied his young brothers, the brothers would call him to beat other people up. So I was just like, now it makes sense. If he used to beat people up when he was in his younger days, no wonder why he beats me mercilessly. But then in my mind, I was just like, okay, Dad, I'm, I'm not the bullies. I'm not a bully. So why do you have to beat me so hard? You know? But then the point is, it really affected me emotionally. Like I got really scared of of my dad, and it kind of affected the relationship that we had as I grew older, because I couldn't uh, sit in the same space with him for a long time because I always felt uncomfortable. And you know this thing with parents, right? Like they get to ask you about your future, they get to ask you about um, if you've read, like especially during my time in school, and you don't want to have those conversations. So it really bothered me. It really um, made me feel uncomfortable. And so as I grew older, even when I got to I think my early 30s, right? I got to a point where I just felt like I got really fed up of how things would be because it was just like, I always grew up as a very quiet and shy kid, even though people often would often mistake my quietness for stupidity. But then I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. So by being the quiet kid, right? It's like anyone who wanted to say anything, I don't know, they would just come at me real hard. I would stay quiet. I would not say anything. I would not answer back. And so by bottling things, keeping things inside of me for so many years, I think it really took a toll on me. And then I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I think from now on, I don't want to stay quiet for people. Like, if people want to say something to me, I'm going to say something back. And this is an approach which I took from some of my friends. I would see some of my friends like talking back to their parents, right? They wouldn't say anything bad, but they would just talk back. And I was just like, okay, this is what I need to do. So things got to a point where I think it was particularly my mom. My mom was more of the talker, and then my dad, unfortunately, was more of the thrower. So my mom would always come. She'd always, say maybe I think she'd say stuff obviously in good faith. But then if you've got things on your mind, like if you have your own frustrations, right? You don't really get to process what is supposed to happen. So I was just like, yeah, the next time my mom comes to me and wants to say something to me, I'm going to talk back. Same thing with my dad. I'm going to talk back, especially with my dad. I think I was in my early 20s. You get to a point where you're just like, you take inspiration from things like the TV, the movies, and everything. If my dad would say something to me, sometimes my dad would say, I'm useless. Or my dad sometimes would say, I'm stupid, right? Sometimes you're too young to understand. He would probably say that out of anger, but then I would take it in a different manner. So I even got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I'm getting pissed off with what this guy is doing. If we ever go to court, I know I will win this case. This was like the stupidest thing that ever came into my mind. But anyways, this was a dumb clap. I don't know why I even did it. But anyways, so you know how mothers are. Mothers would want you to do some things like clean the yard or maybe sometimes cook, different things that mothers ask for, right? If there was something that I didn't like, I would say it on the spot. And then, with me, I'm like someone who's very expressive. So if I'm in a bad mood, you can actually see like my body language, my face, you can actually see that. So she would come to me and then I would just react in a certain way if I didn't want things. Same thing with my dad. I would react in a certain way. And then I then noticed that it got to a point where they started becoming hesitant if it ever came to speaking to me or asking for things, right? And then as time went on, I actually figured that it wasn't good. Like, even to this day, whenever I think of it, I cringe, you know? I guess it makes me Assassin's cringe. Bad joke. But, anyways, I never feel comfortable when I see them reacting in that kind of way. So it's a thing where I'm just like, I think when it comes to me, right, uh, I think I have a certain soft spot for things. Sometimes if I do something out of anger, when I get back to my senses, I'm just like, I wasn't supposed to do that. So it's the same thing when it comes to my parents. I'm just like, man, I wasn't supposed to do this. Now, as I record this video, I don't want you guys to think that I've made things perfect. No, I'm still in the process. There are days where I just feel like, man, no, I don't want to do this. Mom, I don't feel like doing this. Dad, I don't feel like doing this. You know, but then sometimes it gets to a point where it's like you don't always have to succumb to your feelings, because at the end of the day, feelings are temporary, right? So if I don't like to do something for my mom today, I then tell myself that, what if today is her last day on earth? Same thing with my dad. And I even look at things where it's like my mom is slowly recovering, right? I think it's now safe for me to tell you guys that my mom suffered a minor stroke, I think, at the end of November. So thankfully, it affected her right hand, like this part. So she's been doing physiotherapy, and it's been really, really helpful. So you get to a point where you start to understand that I think it's God trying to speak to me, like, okay, look, this is what happened. What if it got worse? Things could have been worse, but they didn't. So this is a way to bring you closer to your mom, right? So whatever she asks for, do your best to do it, you know? And it's something that will teach us, something that will build a muscle that's gonna help us in the long run. Same thing with my dad. My dad was diagnosed with diabetes towards the end of last year. Well, my dad is kind of secretive, so probably if he gets to hear this, he's gonna kill me. Remember, he's the. But anyways, um, yeah. So it's things like that where you just have to think of how they are. You know, like life is temporary. So if I at least focus on helping them as much as I can, I think things will be better for me and better for themselves too. Because it just came to me like I did an episode where I spoke about kindness and convenience. And I have to practice what I preach. I can't just give you content when I don't uh, live by those words. So that's basically been the relationship that I have with my parents. Um, to this day, with my dad, we still have the simple conversations, kind of the weird conversations sometimes where it's just like, you know, you don't get to speak much, but then I still make time to just sit with them. If it's watching football, if it's watching anything that they want, you know, I still do that. And I even try to find common ground with him. It's never too late to do things like that with parents. I still get to find common ground with a lot of things. For me to do things like media, you know, it came from him because he is um, one of the most experienced retired film editors and photographer. So whenever I can get to speak to him about all of those things. And, you know, I'm just thankful for things like that. So, yeah, I just thought I'd give you this video where I just detail my relationship with my parents. It's a slow process, right? But I know things will get better. Of course, they're actually better. I can't say things will. They're actually getting better. And some of the things that I do to make them feel happy is just buying, things for them, like what I did for my mom, getting her a washing machine. I'm still yet to get my dad something really big, which he can always look at and say, oh, yeah, this is my son who actually got me this. But I know I'm actually going to do it really, really soon. So I just thought I'd give you some content for you to uh, chow on. And I hope this really helps. The moral of the story is this: uh, let's love our parents as much as we can. Even the Bible says, honor your parents. So sometimes they can do things out of anger, sometimes they can make mistakes because, no one is perfect, right? So we have to forgive each other. We have to understand each other as much as we can. Because I remember my late uncle, when I used to have issues with my mom, right? He told me that you have to understand your person. Take time to pick up their traits, to really understand their personality, and you'll be okay. And when I got to understand my mom more, our relationship got stronger. So, like, this is my advice to you. If you've got parents, love them as much as you can, give them time as much as you can, because life is temporary, like I said before. And to those who don't have any parents, I'm really sorry for your loss. But if you happen to have guardians who look after you, I think do your best to give them love, you know, especially if they put so much effort to just make you smile, to just make you uh, wake up and see the light of day. Just do your best to show your love to them, because obviously God is going to bless us for taking care of our parents. So, this is my advice: love your parents as much as you can, and you'll be all right. So, if you've been getting value from my content, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you haven't clicked the notification bell, please do so that you don't miss a single video that I upload. Do your best to share my channel to people who haven't subscribed, your friends, your family, anyone you can think of, so that we grow together and we make the world a better place. So this is from me to you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.